everyone. How are you all doing today? This is Ife from Ifechi family. And as you can see today, my husband is with me. It is our wedding anniversary today. So we are doing this video together to share some things with you regarding our married life and the secrets, if any, of our love and happiness over this so many years. If you have watched my other vlogs, you know how many years married we are today. So I'm going to introduce my husband, or let him introduce himself to you. So Mike, tell them, who are you?
Okay, right. Good morning, or good afternoon, or good evening, wherever you are. My name is Hubert Ezrin, and as my wife has said to you, we are married together for 36 years to 37 years, and I met her 38 years ago.
Okay, thank you. I just want to ask my husband, when you actually met me, did you have in mind, were you thinking of marriage at the time? Because I wasn't, because I was only 20 or so then, so I wasn't. So were you thinking of marriage at the time you met me?
Well, the simple answer is yes, I was thinking of marriage because I started thinking about marriage when I was a teenager. It might surprise you to know that, because I'm somebody who wouldn't like to go into something I'm not sure about. So I started thinking about marriage quite a long time, because if I know I'm going to get married, well, I need to think about it. That's so the simple answer there is yes, I was.
Okay, thank you. And what made you think then that I was the one? Because you didn't know me. You just met me for the first time the day I visited your sister, who is my good friend. So what made you, think that I'm the one, or I was the one?
Well, that's a very simple answer, because I think that when you want to get married, there are three elements for me that I have to factor in. The first is God's approval. If I pray about something, I remember when I was praying about marriage, I just said to God, look, I'm going to get married. I'm going home from my youth service to get married. I don't know who, but I'm going to get married. And the thing I said to God was, create a situation whereby I meet my wife. But I don't have a girlfriend. I don't have anybody in mind. But just make it happen. And so the other thing is God has to approve it. And secondly, my parents are a big factor here, because I can't get into marriage without approval of my parents. That is another thing. So they must say yes to the person that God approves. Mm-hmm. And thirdly, my siblings, because it's important. The first one, so if I'm going to lead the family, I need to make sure that the person I'm going to marry is acceptable to the family. So those three elements had to be factored in, and at the end of the day, they all fitted together.
Okay, that's interesting. Thank you. In my previous video, I talked about early marriage, the issues with early marriage. Is there something from your own experience? Is there something you can share with us, so our viewers will also learn from your own experience of early marriage, just using us as an example, because today is our day, so we're just going to use ourselves as an example.
Oh, that's a very interesting question, because marriage is not an easy journey. It starts in a day, And you got to really make sure that you don't get into it light-hearted. You know, you need to think seriously about what you're getting into. So it's difficult for me because I didn't have any girlfriend. I didn't have any. The sisters I have are younger, much younger than myself. So the only person I can learn from is from my mom. But one of the things that is very important, or was important to me, was if I'm going to marry someone, we should have something that we can agree, 90 something, say 90% of it, we must have agreement. If we don't, then that's a problem. So we have to discuss everything. And I remember when I was suggested to marry my wife by my dad. My dad called me early morning and said, "Look, this girl that came to our house, we're thinking you marrying her." And I looked at him and said, "What are you talking about? Are you sure?" He said, "Yes, I'm sure." I said, "Okay, I have a litmus test. I have to test it out." So as we were talking, my mom came in, and that was what gave it away. I then thought, oh, this has been a discussion. I wasn't thinking about that, but because I prayed a prayer that God should create a situation that I meet my wife. Now, so what is important for me is to marry someone that is a Christian, but not necessarily someone who goes to any other church other than Anglican church, because I don't want to offend my parents. So this again was something that fitted into the whole equation. So basically, initially my wife came along. So when I met her, I just proposed to her immediately. I didn't waste time. I said, "Will you marry me?" He said, and this is a question that I didn't want her to give me an answer immediately, but I needed her to think carefully what she was going to get into. But in the next video, I'm going to share with us some thoughts about what we need to look at when we are talking about marriage, because at this moment I think I don't want to get into that. I just want to talk about how we met, and that's basically what this one is about. How we met. It's not about
how we met,
yes.
And then our early years. I want us to talk about our early years as well, not just how we met, because as I said, my last video, I like us to chip in like our early years. Let's say our first 5 years. And remember, within our first 5 years, we already have our 3 children. So I would like you to, from your own angle as the father and the husband, to tell us in the first 5 years of our marriage, remembering that we didn't really have any courtship, we didn't know each other before we got married. What were the challenges we faced? First 5 years, with 4 children, under 5 actually at that time.
Yeah. Okay. Right. That's another edition, because for me, first 5 years was a trial period. A trial period, I would say, because it was a time that we needed to understand each other properly, and like I said, I'm going to really get into that sometime. But for now, first 5 years was difficult. It was difficult because as soon as we got married, we didn't get time to develop the love between us and grow it to the point where we say, oh, yes, we are comfortable now to really launch into having children. But we started having children after 10 months of marriage. We had our first son. So that again brought its own challenges. And within 6 months or so, I was away. I traveled to England. So again, we didn't have time. And most of the time, she gone back to do her midwifery. So we didn't really have time to really develop this newfound love, So the love was just floating. Basically, it wasn't really, it has no root to it at all, no root. So it just a question of when will it just die and we just go. But there's something, when God starts a process and you stay with God there, it doesn't die. So I think that was the key to it. So there were challenges in the first 5 years with the children coming in and so on, and us not having time to really understand ourselves. And there are so many issues that arose in those 5 years. It was really getting to a breaking point. But we stayed there. But the key was communication.
Yep.
Communication. I must say here that when I start talking, I can talk for 3 hours.
Yes.
I can talk for 3 hours non-stop. And each of those challenges I have to deal with, because I knew that if I don't deal with them, they will rear up down the line and then cause more problems. So I don't let anything go without dealing with it. And how did I get that idea? As I said, when I was a teenager, I had marriage in mind. So I was asking those who were married what it meant, how do they resolve issues in their marriages. I'm a very inquisitive person. Being a scientist, at that time I wasn't a scientist, but the science in me says you need to ask questions. So I started asking questions. And this lady said to me, she was a teacher, and she said to me, look, the way we resolve our issues is in the night. If there's any issue in the night, middle of the night, 12 midnight, when the children have gone to bed, I wake my husband up. I say, look, sit down, sit down. And then I began to deal with these issues. And that's how we resolve issues. I said, wow, that's good. Okay. I remember I was just a teenager, so I picked that up. I say, wow, okay, this goes into my... And you see, I would suggest to you that don't look at any marriage as failure. Don't look at any marriage as success. All you have to do is take a pen and note. Go to them and say, how did you get here? I mean, if you go to the ones that are successful, you say, how did you get here? What is the secret? They tell you, it's okay.
You write
it down and move on. And you go to the one that failed. You say, wow, how did this happen? They tell you, you take notes and move on. Then you compare notes and say, see the one that you want to subscribe to. If you want to go for the one that is bad, then that's your choice. If you want to go to the one that is good, that's your choice. But at least you have the knowledge. You don't have the knowledge by living in isolation. And you don't get all knowledge from your parents. My parents had a very good marriage. And they were instrumental to who I am. But also, I need to find other people's views about marriage. And this was when I was a teenager. And it hasn't left me. So when I got married, I had to apply that principle. So my wife would say, oh, no, is it because of this small thing? I said, no, so don't look at it as small. It's not small. And when I start talking, then she will begin to bring out other things that is in her heart. I say, okay, you see, it's not just the small thing. There are other things that were hidden, which you have not expressed. And if you don't express them now, later down the line, they come out. And I don't want them to come out. And so I can talk till 3 hours until I deal with every issue. And she never liked it then. But I think she likes it now because those issues have been dealt with. No more. And she's happy. I say, you see, if I didn't deal with those issues then, but by now, we'll be fighting and children are gone to their different places. And then we'll be looking at each other and cooking separately, But now we can enjoy our life. We're on holiday together. So that is the key. The key is you need to talk.
Yeah.
Don't shove anything under the carpet. Keep talking.
Yeah.
And that is it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yes, in one of my videos, I did mention that communication is very, very important, and then we have all heard it now from from my husband's mouth as well. So I don't want this video to be too long. I'm sure you have picked one or two things from what we have discussed today. So the success of every marriage is different. That's the thing. So what worked for one may not work for the other. But all in all, what I can say to us is that communication, you cannot go wrong with communication. There's no point in you have an argument with your husband or your wife, and you drive out of the house to get away from the problem. You come back in the night, the problem is still waiting for you there. So the best thing is to handle it. Maybe you can wait for the other person to cool down and so on. But going away from it completely is not the answer, because the problem will still be there when you come back. So it's very, very important to communicate. In our 36 years of marriage, we have never involved anybody to settle any quarrel for us. Not because we don't have any quarrel or that we don't have people that we rely on, to talk to, but we felt that it's something that we can deal with, and by the grace of God, we have been able to deal with it. But if you are that kind of couple that you need to have somebody, get somebody involved, you have to really watch, and know the type of person you're getting involved. What's their own experience of marriage? What do they have to offer you and stuff like that? If you really think that that's the best way, but our advice will be to try and deal with things yourself, by communicating and talking about it at a very early stage. Marriage, which is the first time of talking about marriage, because our wedding anniversary today, there'll be many more videos to come in future about marriage. So I don't want this video to be too long, but we're going to do another video shortly. It will be a separate video, but it will still be, just follow this one, and my husband will give you detail. There's other things he has in mind, so he will cover it in the next video. So watch out for that. Thank you so much for listening. And Mike, what do you say to our viewers?
Thank you very much for listening.
And ask them to subscribe.
Well, subscribe and make sure you
share the video
with others.
Yep, others, yes, and and I'm sure they will benefit as well. And then we will see you very, very soon in our next video. Goodbye and God bless. And together we say goodbye.
Bye-bye.
And God bless.
And God bless you.
Thank you.